Welcome to Abbey Talk on the Ross Costello Sports Network. We will be covering the last two 1 o'clock games, the afternoon games, the evening game, and the Monday night game in part two. The first of the last two 1 o'clock games is the New York Giants at the Carolina Panthers. Ross, what do you think about this game?
I really want the Panthers to win this game, but just knowing the New York media and how they're going to whip the Giants up this week, they'll win this game. They'll find a way to pull this out. It's going to be another Eli Manning magic. Believe me, the media is going to be all over this game. The Giants are going to win. I think they'll win by maybe like 2 or 3 points. It's going to be a close game, and this proves why the Giants are not a real contender team. They'll make a lot of mistakes. I think they'll turn the ball over 2 or 3 times, but I think Cam Newton will turn it over also, and I feel like the Giants will just find a way to squeak this one out. The Panthers are the type of team that will choke up a game to the Giants.
I don't know. I mean, Ross is right with the Panthers about choking up the game. They choked up the game to the Buffalo Bills last week. E.J. Manuel won it, but I have to go with the home team in this one, the Carolina Panthers. The Giants and Eli Manning specifically, 7 turnovers in the last 2 games. It's very like Mark Sanchez-esque. I mean, I just don't think that the Giants have enough talent on offense, or even defense for that matter, to win a game against the Panthers, especially with the explosive offense of D'Angelo Williams, Cam Newton, Steve Smith, because I don't really know anyone in the secondary that could be very explosive enough to stop the pass game. So I think the Carolina Panthers are going to win this. It won't be a blowout, but they'll win it by a margin of maybe 6 or 7. Next game is the Houston Texans at the Baltimore Ravens. Ross?
The Texans are going to win this game. I know they've struggled in the first half of games. I think that they'll come out, dominate the line of scrimmage, and just really set the tempo and just never lose control of this game. Baltimore really struggled against. We're fortunate that Cleveland never made a real play at pushing them to win the game. They really struggled. Texans have a better defense than the Browns. Ray Rice being injured, he might not play. If he does play or not, I still think that the Texans' run defense is good enough. So I think Joe Flacco is going to drop back and have to throw 50 times. And I don't think that's a good formula to win against a very good Texan team who dominates time of possession and really is a very complete team. I'd have the Texans winning by a touchdown.
The Ravens are very difficult to beat at home. However, the Texans are still going to win this game. It may be only week 3, but the Ravens are already banged up, judging by how many free agents they lost. They lost their star running back in Ray Rice, and they don't really have a go-to target on the wide receiving spot. If Joe Flacco throws 50 times, he's likely to throw 3 interceptions, since I don't really think he trusts anyone on the offense either way. So I really can't say the Ravens can do anything against a very stout, a very good Texans defense who will probably advance to 3-0 this week. So I think the Texans are going to win by a margin of maybe 7, 1 touchdown, maybe even 2. Next game, the first afternoon game, the Buffalo Bills at the New York Jets. Ross?
I have the New York Jets winning this game. I really like E.J. Manuel as a quarterback. I really think he's big time. But the Jets' run defense is very talented, and I think that if the Jets' run defense, their front 7 comes to play and shuts down Fred Jackson, C.J. Spiller, they will have a chance to win this game because the game will stay low scoring at home. Geno has proven that he can pull out games. I think the Jets, this is a typical Jets victory, very low scoring, very ugly to watch, but it's a Jets victory, and they're not going to get very many of them anymore this season, so they better accept it and take it for what it is.
I think the Jets have a top 5 defense this season, and this is the reason that they'll win this game. I mean, they're at home, that's one of the big things, and top 5 defense. I mean, look at what they did to the Patriots. I know it was raining, but they only gave up 13 points, and it's not just the run defense, it's the pass defense, now that they've also benched D. Milliner for confidence issues. So I really think the Jets are going to win by a low score. Maybe Geno Smith won't play as well. Maybe the running game will actually do well, since it was showing sparks last week with Bilal Powell. So maybe the Jets will win this game like 7-6, 10-6, maybe even a safety this time again. So that's what I think. Now, the next afternoon game is the Atlanta Falcons at the Miami Dolphins. Ross?
I actually have the Miami Dolphins winning this football game. I don't trust the Falcons right now. I picked this team to miss the playoffs. So I think the Falcons, with the injury to Steven Jackson, I don't think their balance on offense is going to be that great. Obviously, Roddy White is banged up. Julio Jones isn't 100%. So they're missing a lot of pieces. The Dolphins have looked good. I mean, they've really shown a lot. I feel like Mike Wallace obviously showed that he's a top-flight receiver. And I think Tannehill's doing a very good job of distributing the ball now. Hopefully Lamar Miller comes out and plays and they can get a running game. The whole key in the Dolphins' defense is very underrated. So I think they have a very good chance of really shutting down a one-dimensional Falcons team.
This is a difficult one for me because I think I'm going to have to stick with my notion at the beginning of the season that the Dolphins are an overrated team. The Falcons last year, to disagree with Ross, had Michael Turner, and this guy did almost virtually not that much on the offense. Matt Ryan had to carry the team, and he was an MVP candidate for a good first 7 weeks of the season. So this team can pass and still win. I mean, they have Roddy White, who's not doing that well right now, and is injured, and they have Julio Jones, who caught like 2 touchdown passes last week, right?
Yeah.
One, like 180 yards. And they have Tony Gonzalez back at tight end. I mean, I can't see a top 5 Falcons team losing to a team that I think is overrated like the Dolphins, even if they're at home, even if they have an underrated defense, even if they have a great quarterback that can distribute the ball. So I think this won't be a blowout, but I think the Falcons will have a dominating win by like 10 or 13 points. Next game is the Indianapolis Colts at the San Francisco 49ers. Ross?
Well, this is intriguing because obviously the Colts get to display their new acquired running back Trent Richardson. I don't think he's going to see many carries because obviously it's one day of practice and then they went across country, so he doesn't really know the playbook. For that reason, not that reason, I just feel like the Colts haven't been across country in 3 seasons, I think the stat is. So I think the 49ers will win. They're a pissed-off football team. They got embarrassed on Sunday Night Football. I think they bounced back on a team that I still think has a lot of holes on the offensive line. I think they get a lot of sacks. Luck turns the ball over 2 or 3 times. 49ers by 2 scores.
Although I think that the Trent Richardson trade has the potential to make the Colts a wild card team, I do not believe it does enough to make them beat the second best team in the league. Not only are the 49ers the second best team, but they're also at home, which helps them a lot. I mean, they have arguably the best rushing quarterback in the league and some of the better hot wide receivers right now in Anquan Boldin and Vernon Davis. So I really cannot see a Colts team, which is not that good on the offensive line and not that good in their secondary, beating a team like San Francisco. So I have them, actually, I think the San Francisco 49ers might blow out the Colts at home. So maybe a 21-point victory. I mean, even the spread is like 10 points, right?
10.5.
10.5. So obviously, not even the NFL thinks they can win this game with this trade. So I think the 49ers will win this game. Next game is the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Seattle Seahawks. Ross?
All I gotta say is Jacksonville, I picked you to cover the 20.5-point spread. Please do so. Hopefully they cover the spread. That's all I'm saying. The Seahawks are winning this game. I don't want to spend much time on it. The Seahawks are the most complete team. Obviously, everyone knows that I have a huge man crush on Russell Wilson. We don't need to talk about that right now, especially since they're playing a team of the Jaguars' caliber. Jaguars lost MGAD, so they're really just... They're another team in the Bridgewater sweepstakes. Join the Buccaneers and the Browns. All right, so let's move on, Jason.
Okay. Last week I went on a rant about this team, not knowing that Chad Henne was starting. I almost made a big mistake. The Jaguars actually made it hard for me at the end because they almost came back. This week, it's not... This team's an embarrassment, I'm sorry. Like, this week, they're playing the Seahawks, which is the best team in the league, and they're the worst team in the league. Like, literally on the power rankings, here's 1, here's 32. That's the difference. I mean, no, they're not going to win. I mean, they are going to cover the spread. There's no way the Seahawks are winning by 20 points, but there's no way they're going to win this game. Next game, Sunday Night Football, Chicago Bears at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ross?
Chicago. That's all.
That's all?
Okay. I have enough talking about the Steelers. They're not a good football team. They're going to have a top 10 pick in this year's draft. Big Ben obviously is getting old. He's incapable of carrying a team all on his own. They have no running game. They ran for 33 yards against the Bengals, and Ben Roethlisberger contributed for 10 of them. So I'm just saying, this team can't run the football. Obviously, the balance isn't there. Todd Haley is not the right fit as the offensive coordinator. And the Bears have a very balanced team. They're fundamentally sound at every position on the football field. I think Trestman has done a nice job. I think this team has the potential to be one of the wild card teams in the NFC.
Yeah, I agree. Even though the Steelers are at home, I really do not think that they can win this game. I mean, the Bears are an incredibly balanced team on both sides of the football, even though their offensive line is a little bit subpar. But when you look at the Steelers, the only upside that I can really see them having on offense is the quarterback, Ben Roethlisberger, because Pouncey got injured. There's no one really explosive at the wide receiver position or the tight end position or even the running back position because Le'Veon Bell got injured. And on defense, they might still have the pieces, but I don't think that's enough for them to even put together a good season. So I do think they're going to lose to the Bears, and it won't be a blowout, but it will be a very dominant win.
Yeah, one thing, the Steelers' offensive line is bad, so whoever's in the backfield wouldn't have had a good season this year because that line is just so bad. Even if Jerome Bettis was still in his prime, I don't think he would have had a good season with this offensive line. There's too many holes on the line, and Big Ben can't even get protected. So even though he has 2 very fast receivers in Antonio Brown and Emmanuel Sanders, he doesn't have enough time to find the ball. There's just too many holes for the Pittsburgh Steelers to cover up for them to beat very good teams with the Bears. That's the only thing.
Final game of Week 3, Monday Night Football, the Oakland Raiders at the Denver Broncos. Ross?
Well, the Broncos are going to win this game. I think they'll win by... This will be a close game at the half because I think Terrell Pryor, he's been very impressive. He just knows how to get first downs. He plays street yard football, which is very hard to scout for. But the Broncos, they blew out two much better teams than the Raiders, and I think they continue on their blowout streak. They'll win by at least 17 points.
What did Peyton Manning do first week? Throw 7 touchdowns against a Baltimore defense. The Raiders' defense is not as good as the Raiders' defense is not as good as Baltimore's defense. And now I'm not saying that Peyton's going to throw 7 touchdowns again. I'm just saying he's going to tear the Raiders up. I mean, now that the Raiders have shown some spark and shown some upside to make me believe that they're not one of the worst 5 teams in the league. But the Broncos are one of the top 3 teams in the league, and there's no way, unless it's a huge upset or a huge injury happens, that the Raiders are going to win this game. So I think this is going to be a blowout. The Broncos are at home. They have everything on their side. And that's it. Those are all the games of Week 3 of the NFL. Join us next week as we predict the Week 4 matchups, and enjoy your weekend.